Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. As UN urges Bangladesh to make every effort to be inclusive and safeguard minorities, its chief advisor Muhammad Yunus visits a temple in Dhaka, says rights are equal for everyone. Donald Trump promises the largest deportation of illegal immigrants in U.S. history in an interview to U.S. billionaire and ex-owner Elon Musk. And scientists discover underground water on Mars. A new study says a hidden ocean has been found on the red planet that should be able to sustain life. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has welcomed efforts by Bangladesh's interim government to restore calm. But he urged the government to consider the voices of minorities and respect human rights as it prepares for a parliamentary election. Guterres said that he stands in solidarity with the people of Bangladesh. He urged the interim government led by 84-year-old Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus to continue to make every effort in the coming weeks to be inclusive, including by taking into account the voices of women, youth and people, as well as that of minority and indigenous communities. The United States has denied any role in ousting Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. A report published by an Indian newspaper had said that Hasina accused the US of playing a role in ousting her because the US wanted control over Bangladesh's St. Martin's Island in the Bay of Bengal. Hasina's son, Sajib Wazed, said on X on Sunday that she never made any such statement. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre called the allegations of US interference, quote-unquote, simply false.
At all. Any reports or rumors that the United States government was involved in these events is simply false. That is not true. This is a choice for and by the Bangladeshi people. We believe that the Bangladeshi people should determine the future of the Bangladeshi government, and that's where we stand. Any allegations, certainly we will continue to say, and I have said here, is simply untrue.
Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs advisor Tawheed Hossain said on Monday that Sheikh Hasina's stay in India will not hurt India-Bangladesh relations. He was talking to diplomats in Dhaka. Hossain said that India has its interests in Bangladesh just as Dhaka has its interests in India. Meanwhile, Home Affairs advisor Brigadier General Sakhawat Hossain urged Bangladesh's political parties to prevent violence, including attacks on minorities. Bangladesh's head of interim government, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, made a visit to the Dhakeshwari temple in Dhaka. Accompanied by officials and security, Yunus met and spoke with attendees at the site of one of Bangladesh's holiest Hindu temples. Hindus, who make up about 8% of Bangladesh's population of 170 million, have traditionally supported former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party, which sparked people's anger after violent clashes between anti-quota protesters and security forces last month. Hasina resigned as the country's prime minister and fled to India on the 5th of August after weeks of deadly protests. And the interim government, led by Yunus, was sworn in on the 8th of August with the aim of holding a parliamentary election. Moving on, US President Joe Biden spoke on Monday to the leaders of France, Germany, Italy and the UK to discuss de-escalating tensions in West Asia and a ceasefire in Gaza. Leaders of all 5 countries said that they endorsed a call from the US, Qatar and Egypt for renewal of talks for concluding a Gaza ceasefire deal as soon as possible. The leaders also called on Iran to stand down its ongoing threats of a military attack on Israel. However, Iran Foreign Ministry has dismissed European nations' calls for restraint. DD India's Sarah Coates reports from Tel Aviv.
Iran is blaming Israel for the assassination of the head of Hamas's Politburo, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran, despite no admission of guilt by the Israeli government. So certainly an extremely tense time here in the region. This is, of course, why the United States has been moving more military hardware to the area. And we do have a little more from the Foreign Ministry spokesperson saying that Tehran is determined to deter Israel, calling on Paris, London and Berlin to once and for all stand up against the war in Gaza and, quote, the warmongering of Israel. And this comes amid other reports in Hebrew media coming out just a few hours ago that Israel will actually strike Iran even if it strikes Israel and causes no civilian casualties. So certainly a very worrying time in the Middle East.
Keir Starmer spoke with Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian on Monday as part of de-escalation efforts to ease tensions in West Asia. Pictures shared online by 10 Downing Street showed Starmer on the phone with a caption saying that he was talking to Pezeshkian. Starmer asked Pezeshkian to refrain from attacking Israel and saying that war was not in anyone's interest. Right, joining me is Sarah Coates, who is in Tel Aviv. Sarah, Iran dismisses European calls for restraint. What does it mean for the region and the world at large?
Well, it certainly is a region on edge, and this is one of the reasons that the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is reportedly making yet another visit to the Middle East to really try and diffuse these tensions that are currently happening. Now, we do understand he might be stopping in Egypt, also Qatar, here in Israel, and potentially Iran, but that all really hinges on whether it will or has attacked Israel by that stage. Now, Reuters is now reporting, citing a number of senior Iranian officials, as saying that only a ceasefire in Gaza can delay Iran's attack on Israel. So this really highlights the urgency of the visit by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken ahead of this summit happening Thursday to really try and get this ceasefire over the line after months and months of negotiations. It's still unclear as to whether Hamas will actually send a delegation to these talks, but from what we understand, Egypt is really piling the pressure on Hamas to once again try and get this deal done.
Sarah, it's interesting you should speak about a linkage between a Gaza ceasefire and Iran's retaliatory attack on Israel. So I have to ask you this. The leaders of France, Germany, Italy and the UK have all endorsed a call from the US, Qatar and Egypt to clinch a Gaza ceasefire deal as soon as possible. But as someone who's been covering developments from Israel for many months now, do you think the parties to the dispute, Israel on the one hand and the Hamas on the other, are up for it?
Well, we really just need to wait until Thursday, but from what we've been seeing over these past few months, it doesn't seem very likely. We've been at this point many times where there's been a lot of optimism that a ceasefire and a hostage deal may be achieved, but then there are just too many differences between the positions of Israel and Hamas. Now, Hamas has been saying it wants to go back to an original framework, back to talks that were held 6 months ago, saying it doesn't want to actually enter into new negotiations, while on the Israeli side, the position of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, still remains unclear. And what we've got to remember here is the immense pressure that Netanyahu is under from his coalition, that he needs to keep him in power. Specifically, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the National Security Minister, he's once again threatening to walk away from the coalition to see it collapse if Netanyahu agrees to a deal that would see a ceasefire in the Strip and these hostages released. But at the same time, Netanyahu is under immense international pressure and also domestic pressure on the Israeli street from the families of these hostages who've been in Gaza now for 10 months. So really, it all hinges on these talks on Thursday, and I don't think anyone can actually predict the outcome of these talks because, firstly, you have to get these two warring parties to the table.
Indeed. Sarah, thank you. Appreciate it. Sarah Coates reporting there from Tel Aviv. Moving on, in a dramatic live interview on X with its owner Elon Musk, US presidential candidate Donald Trump recounted the attempt on his life and pledged the largest deportation of illegal immigrants in US history. Trump criticized Vice President Kamala Harris and labeled her as fake, blaming her for the influx of illegal migrants. He launched a series of attacks on his opponent over immigration, inflation, and law and order.
Here's what's happening. Crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. You know, this is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be. Yeah. And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed with raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters and started pulling out the knives, and bad things happened today. But this is happening every day. But these are rough people. Yeah. These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people.
He launched a scathing attack on President Joe Biden too and blamed him for the Ukraine conflict. Trump argued that his strong relationship with Russia's President Vladimir Putin could have prevented the conflict. The interview faced a technical glitch and began after a 40-minute delay. India's Defence Research and Development Organization successfully test-fired a made-in-India portable anti-tank guided missile in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. Known as Man-Portable Anti-Tank Guided Missile, it's a shoulder-launched missile system designed to neutralize enemy tanks and armored vehicles. And India's Defence Research and Development Organization is also showcasing 40 indigenously developed advanced systems and technologies at the International Defence Aviation Exposition IDAX 2024 at Sulur in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. The expo is being attended by Indian Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary and Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi. India's net direct tax collection grew 22.5% to $83 billion between 1st April and 11th August of the current fiscal. As per data released by the country's Income Tax Department on Monday, net personal income tax has outpaced net corporation tax in the latest tax collection figures. Net personal income tax reached $53.8 billion compared to $41.4 billion during the same period last year. Still to come on DD India Live. Ukraine pounds 2 Russian regions with drones on Tuesday. And 1 person was killed and thousands evacuated as Greece battles its worst wildfire of the year.
to Jaipur.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Ukraine pounded 2 Russian regions with drones on Tuesday. Ukraine's top commander said that his forces controlled 1,000 square kilometers of Russian territory. For its part, Russia's defense ministry said its air defense units destroyed 12 drones over the Kursk region, 1 over Belgorod region and another over Voronezh. In retaliation, Russian drones attacked energy infrastructure in Ukraine's Chernihiv region. And Megumi Lim sent us this report from Kyiv.
Well, fierce battles are still taking place in Russia's Kursk region. 8 days have passed since Ukraine launched this cross-border assault into Russia. And the latest that we're hearing from Ukraine's top commander, Alexander Syrsky, is that Ukrainian forces now reportedly control about 1,000 square kilometers of territory inside the Kursk region. Now, this is an incredibly rapid advance that Ukrainian troops were able to make, which really speaks to how unprepared Russian forces were in not only repelling these border attacks, but in protecting these border settlements on the Russian side. They truly were not expecting Ukrainian troops to pour through the border. Now, this is also perhaps the biggest battlefield advance that Ukrainian troops have seen in more than a year and a half. The last time they were able to capture territory, this much territory, was in 2022 when they were liberating Ukrainian territories from Russian occupation. Now, how long this will last is unclear because Russian forces are still advancing in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. This is a sector that has seen fierce fighting for weeks and weeks now, and Russian forces are still inching forward, getting closer to key Ukrainian military strongholds. So we will see if Ukraine will have the resources to continue their attacks in both of these sectors, inside Ukraine and inside Russia.
1 person was killed and thousands evacuated as Greece battles its worst wildfire of the year. Fire continues to burn on the outskirts of the capital Athens on Tuesday. It reached up to 80 feet, leading to a red alert in the region. People in Athens were seen wearing a mask as smoke affected air quality. Homes, hospitals and other properties in the affected area have been damaged severely. A team of firefighters and police officers were trying their best to put out the fire, even as strong winds caused the fire to spread. Now, this has led to an additional rise in temperatures in Greece. The country had experienced the hottest months on record in June and July. And Giles Gibson has more from Italy's capital, Rome. Take a listen.
Hundreds of firefighters are on the ground battling the most intense wildfire that Greece has seen so far this summer. Special aircraft are also being used to drop water from the skies above, and Greece has now said that it's requested help from its European neighbours. The European Commission says that 2 planes have been sent from Italy, a special helicopter from France, and fire crews are also being sent from multiple countries, including Serbia, Romania and Italy. Now, this blaze first broke out on Sunday in a place called Varnavas, which is about 30 kilometres to the north of Athens. And we now have reports coming in that a 64-year-old woman has been found dead in a suburb just to the north of the Greek capital. Now, when this fire broke out on Sunday, there were very strong winds in the area, and those winds helped to whip up the blaze and to spread it, with eyewitnesses saying that they saw flames up to 25 metres high. Those winds over the last 24 hours or so have now dropped, which is helping firefighters in their battle against this very strong blaze. But there are still extremely high temperatures in the area, up to 38 degrees Celsius. And forecasters are also saying that those winds could pick up again towards the end of the week. So firefighters are facing a very intense couple of days as they continue battling this wildfire and as reinforcements from other parts of Europe start to arrive. Giles Gibson in Rome reporting for DD India.
In more news from Europe, temperatures in the UK have surged to their highest point of the year so far, with 34.8 degrees Celsius recorded in Cambridge. According to the Met Office, high-pressure winds drawing in warm air from Europe caused temperatures to remain high on Monday but are expected to return to average levels on Tuesday. The government there had issued a warning that the heat could cause more deaths among the elderly in particular and put pressure on health and social care services. 54 migrants were rescued by a Spanish NGO and the Italian Coast Guard on Tuesday from Lampedusa. During her visit to Albania in June, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni had announced on the 1st of August as the date of inauguration of detention camps in Albania for migrants picked up at sea. The plan is running a few weeks behind schedule. A recent seismological study has revealed that a vast reservoir of liquid water may be hidden deep beneath the surface of Mars, possibly holding enough to cover the entire planet in a global ocean. Now, this groundbreaking finding, based on data from the US space agency NASA, suggests that the Martian subsurface might offer conditions conducive to microbial life, either in the past or present. The study suggests that much of the water that had been on the Martian surface did not escape into space, but rather filtered down into the crust. Right now, take a look at what else is making news in India. Security has been beefed up on the Jammu-Srinagar highway ahead of the 78th Independence Day celebrations. Vehicles are being checked more frequently than before. The security forces were conducting checks apart from the normal security checks. The National Health Authority and the Maharashtra University of Health Sciences signed an MOU in the presence of India's Health Minister J.P. Nadda on Tuesday. The varsity will offer a digital health foundation course to the National Health Authority and also co-develop additional programs. The Chief Minister of India's northeastern state of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, presented appointment letters to more than 1,000 candidates in Guwahati who had applied for a government job. Of the 1,127 successful candidates, 266 were recruited in the Department of Public Works. The Delhi Metro will commence its services at 4 a.m. on 15th August in order to allow people to attend the Independence Day ceremony. Its services will be available at a 15-minute frequency on all the lines till 6 a.m. and thereafter the regular timetable will be followed for the rest of the day. In sports news, the Olympic flag reaches the US city of Los Angeles, marking the countdown to the 2028 Games. The city's mayor took the flag from IOC President Thomas Bach, who in turn had taken it from the mayor of Paris at a star-studded closing ceremony. The 2028 Olympics will be held from the 14th of July. The Paralympics will start on the 15th of August. Indian wrestler Vinesh Phogat's fate hangs in the balance as the nation awaits her appeal for a joint silver medal. Vinesh, who secured a place in the final of the women's 50 kg freestyle bout, was unexpectedly disqualified because she was overweight. The heartbroken wrestler filed an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport on Wednesday, requesting a joint silver medal. The court had deferred the decision to the 13th of August. 4 tiger cubs are the latest addition to a zoo in Germany. Visitors were seen welcoming these little species as they clicked them from a distance. 3 boys and a girl of the Siberian tigers are now part of the zoo and the only offspring of the largest tiger species, which is threatened with extinction for over 30 years. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.